4 of the brightest minds in plasma research, now declared missing, or worse, deceased.
What if the greatest threat to the status quo isn't a craft inside of a hangar, but the math inside of a human mind? For decades, we've looked for the smoking gun of UAP disclosure in grainy videos and whistleblower testimony. But while we were looking at the sky, a silent war was being waged in the laboratories. A war where the casualties aren't soldiers, but the world's leading experts in exotic propulsion, zero-point energy, and metric engineering. In the last 3 years alone, a forensic trail has emerged. Scientists from NASA, MIT, and Los Alamos, people holding the keys to interstellar travel, are vanished. Some are found dead under natural causes that don't add up. Others, like Dr. Amy Eskridge, warned us of harassment and sabotage before she was silenced. And tonight we follow the trail. This isn't just about UFOs. This is about a coordinated harvest of geniuses designed to keep humanity shackled to fossil fuels while the breakaway civilization perfects the stars. But to understand the present, we have to look at Huntsville, Alabama, the propulsion capital of the world. This is where the plasmoid thruster experiment, PTX, lived. Dr. Amy Eskridge didn't just speculate. She grew up in the shadow of these black projects. She claimed that functional prototypes of revolutionary tech were being built, only to be immediately confiscated and melted down for scrap to keep them out of the public record. And when she tried to bring anti-gravity research into the light, she reported a campaign of psychological abuse by the military-industrial complex. And her death in 2022 was ruled a self-unaliving. But to those of us watching the data, it looks like a tactical removal, like a tactical removal, because Amy knew the one thing they can't allow, that the tech is real, it's here and it works. I want you to look at the names on the screen. Between 2023 and 2026, we lost a specific cluster of experts. If you were building a warp-capable craft today, these are the exact people you would need. 1. Monica Reza, the engineer behind Mondaloy, a superalloy capable of surviving extreme heat of a warp nacelle. She vanished. Dr. Nuno Loureiro, an MIT director who specialized in the plasma sheaths needed for hypersonic travel. He was shot to death. Dr. Carl Grillmar, the man who understood how to navigate inside a space-time bubble. He was unalived on his porch by a gunshot. And then you got Major General William Neil McCasland, who oversaw Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. The specific spot where Jesse Marcel, who was in Army intelligence, who was actually at the crash site at Roswell, who claimed that the craft that he witnessed and the materials that he saw was not of human origin. He claimed that craft went to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. There was another crash in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania of a UAP, and that craft went to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And this was exactly at the time that Major General William Neil McCasland was there. And he's been missing since February. He went missing 6 days after Trump directed Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth and all the departments and agencies to declassify the files on UFOs, UAP, and extraterrestrial aliens. This isn't a coincidence. This is an engineering team being dismantled. If you take out the experts in materials, the experts in plasma, and the experts in navigation, you ensure that no private entity can ever replicate what the gatekeepers are hiding in the shadows. So I'm going to ask you, is there a breakaway civilization that has access to these technologies? Is there a secret space program that's utilizing these technologies? And are these gatekeepers taking out our most skilled and knowledgeable people? Keep a secret. Why kill for this? Why to go to these lengths? And I'm going to follow the money. And that's what I think we all should do. Follow the money. The combined knowledge of these scientists doesn't just give us the stars, it gives us free energy. It ends the reliance on the global oil economy. It breaks the shackles that have kept humanity in a state of manufactured scarcity for a century. This conflict going on in Iran with the Strait of Hormuz and all of this would all go away tomorrow. The secret war isn't about protecting us from aliens. It's about protecting the trillion-dollar energy monopolies from us. They would rather see a genius in a grave than a world with a free power grid. They would rather see a genius in the grave than a world with a free power grid. Something that Nikola Tesla dreamed of. We are being robbed, not of money, but of our future. Every time a scientist like Amy Eskridge or Michael Hicks is taken off the board, humanity moves one step further away from the stars. The trail is getting hot and the gatekeepers are getting desperate. Tennessee Representative Tim Burchett recently dropped a bombshell, stating that if the American public saw what he was briefed on in classified sessions, we would come unglued. He's not talking about little green men. He's talking about a reality so disruptive to our economy, our religion, and our very understanding of physics that the current power structure would vanish overnight. And the pressure is mounting. Representative Anna Paulina Luna has officially demanded that AARO, the Pentagon's UAP office, release 46 high-resolution images, videos, and raw radar data showing direct interactions between our pilots and these craft. Why the urgency? Because the data proves these objects aren't just balloons. They are operating with the very propulsion tech that scientists like Monica Reza and Dr. Nuno Loureiro were closing in on before they were taken off the board. And this brings us to the darkest part of the trail. Under oath, whistleblower David Grush testified that he knows of individuals who have been harmed or injured to protect these secrets. He hinted at a sophisticated influence campaign that uses whatever means necessary to keep the lid on this. When Grush talks about the people being murdered to keep the secret, is he talking about the same people we've been tracking? Is the death of Dr. Amy Eskridge or the disappearance of Major General William McCasland part of the harm Grush warned us about? It's the ultimate gatekeeping tactic. If you can't hide the craft, you kill the person who can explain how it works. You kill the person who can turn that craft into a power source for your home. This isn't just a cover-up of aliens. It's a cover-up of a human future that doesn't include a monthly power bill or a gas pump. To understand why this is happening, you have to look at the timeline. Since 2017, we have been in a transparency surge. But for every step we take toward the light, a shadow falls over the scientific community. So we're going to look at 2017 to 2023, and this is like the foundation of disclosure. And it started with the New York Times revealing ATIP and the NASA UAP videos, you guys remember. Then in 2023, David Grush gave us the roadmap under oath. This was the foundation. And now we're going to look at the cost. During this same window, we lost the early attrition group. That's what we'll call them, right? In June of 2022, propulsion expert Amy Eskridge dies in Huntsville, Alabama. And this was allegedly a self-unaliving. Of course, she was going through severe harassment, directed energy weapon attacks, gang stalking, and the directed energy weapon attacks. At the time, people thought it was BS, but then we found out about Havana syndrome, and then we started looking at the Amy Eskridge case in a whole new light. At one point, the fluid in her spine expanded so much that she felt a pop in the back of her throat and fluid go down the back of her esophagus, and it burned it. And her friend Frank Milburn, who was ex-British intelligence, he said that she was murdered for her knowledge. And then we look at the JPL losses. NASA, JPL researchers, Frank Malwald and Michael Hicks, they die under undisclosed and suspicious circumstances. And these were the people laying the groundwork for how these craft would actually move. And then we fast forward to 2024 and 2025, and we look at the congressional demands. By 2024, the heat is on, right? Representative Tim Burchett introduces the UAP Transparency Act, H.R. 1187, and Congress starts demanding declassification within 270 days. There was even talk about eminent domain, going to some of these private contractors and seizing some of these craft that they were trying to reverse engineer. But as that was going on, as the bills are hitting the floor, the defense corridor clusters begin to vanish, right? Monica Reza, expert in metamaterials, the physical skin of the UAP vanishes in California. And then you look at the Los Alamos specialists, Melissa Cassius and Anthony Chavez, they all go missing. And these aren't just scientists, they are the people who understand plasma science, fusion, and metric engineering. And then we look at 2026, and this is the strategic vacuum, right? Now we reach the present, April of 2026, and the Trump Disclosure Directive has sparked active compliance from the Pentagon. The gatekeepers are being ordered to identify and release all files. The cost? The reaction has been a strategic vacuum. February 2026, Air Force Research Laboratory Commander Major General William McCasland, the man who knew where the bodies were buried, disappears. His wife, I heard that 911 call, she claimed that it appeared like he didn't want to be found. He left his phone, his electronics. The only thing he left with was a 38 caliber revolver. And then today, you look at astrophysicist Carl Grillmar, and he was just killed in February, just as the disclosure directive was issued. And he was unalived on his front porch. Look at the scene. The faster the government moves towards the truth, the faster the experts disappear. And this isn't a coincidence. It's a cleanup operation. They are clearing the board of anyone who can verify the data that Rep Luna is demanding. If 46 high-res images are released, who is left to explain the physics in them? If the witnesses are dead and the commanders are missing, the truth becomes nothing more than a photo without a caption. It makes you wonder if could there possibly be a secret space program? And I know there's, those grifters like Corey Good kind of made this whole subject kind of, nobody really wants to buy into it. But when you look at these disappearances and unalivings, you have to question, what are they hiding? Somebody is really going to extreme lengths to keep something quiet. So why is this happening right now? Why is the body count rising just as the disclosure bills are passing? Because the gatekeepers are running out of time. When Rep Luna demands those 46 high-res images and videos and data and intelligence of military encounters with UAP, she isn't just asking for pictures of lights in the sky. She is asking for the technical proof that our current energy sector is obsolete. And when Tim Burchett says we would come unglued, he's talking about the moment we realize that the solution to the climate crisis, the energy crisis, the poverty crisis has been locked in a basement for 80 years. That there's a possible breakaway civilization that is gatekeeping all this knowledge, technology, and possible contact with aliens. And they're not just hiding aliens, they're hiding the fact that you don't need them. They're hiding a world where you are truly free, and to keep that secret, they are willing to erase the most brilliant minds of our generation. I want you to look at the timeline one more time. Every time we get a win in Washington, we lose a hero in the lab. Ask yourself, if the government finally drops the files tomorrow, but every scientist who could build an engine is dead or missing, did we actually win? Or did they just give us a map to a treasure they've already buried? The secret war is entering its final phase. I'm convinced. They want you distracted by the politics while they finish the cleanup. And we can't let them do that. I'm a member of Citizens for Disclosure and also the New Paradigm Institute. And it's gotta be us who pushes this forward. The more people who know these names, Amy Eskridge, Monica Reza, William Neal McCasland, the harder it is for the next one to vanish. We need to demand the data. So support UAP transparency. Tell your representatives we don't just want the photos, we want the science. And I want you to stay tuned. We're tracking the strategic vacuum of 2026 as it happens. I'm John. This is UAP Troop 33. You're watching Touching the Third Rail. And remember, the truth is out there, but they're trying to make sure no one is left to speak it. So question everything. Stay dangerous. And until next time, please like, share, comment, share it to a friend, share it to 2 friends. I'll see you tomorrow.